All right, shalom, 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 family. Right, we're the Sons of Zion Israelites, the Houston camp, coming to you with another video for your edification. Welcome to Faith by Works, where we study a commandment week in and week out to further perfect our walk with the Most High God. So often we dialogue with brothers and sisters in the world, coming and enlightening them and empowering them and embracing them in the highways and byways, and they can give us roughly 3, maybe 4. Some who are more biblically inclined can give us about 6 to 7, right? Commandments of the Most High God. Well, we created this platform out of sincerity to further edify our people and teaching them commandments week in and week out. All right. So to kick off the class, I'm gonna start it off a little different, if you will. I'm gonna share my screen real quick and show y'all a little short. All right. Here we go.
Struggling right now and you're having a hard time and you're pissed off and you're frustrated, know 2 things. 1, you're not alone. 2, this is necessary for you to get where you want to go. And if you quit, if you falter, if you stop, all of the pain will be for nothing. And you need to remember that. If you're struggling right now and you're having a hard time and you're pissed off and you're frustrated, know 2 things. 1, you're not alone. 2, this is necessary for you to get where you want to go. And if you quit, if you falter, if you stop, all of the pain will be for nothing. And you need to remember that. You're not alone. 2,
There it is. Can you hear me? Am I coming off real?
No, I can hear you.
All right, so it's a lag on my end. It might have played more than what I wanted it to play. But right in summary, right, a lot of our people, right, they go through things. This is very, very obvious. We understand why we're going through them, right, and we understand that it's necessary, right. So the title of today's class is "Faint Not in Well Doing," right. Faint not in well doing. We understand that correction, chastisement from the Most High God is definitely necessary, right? And we also, right, today we want to always, to get our people to always remember, hey, you cannot give up in well doing. All right, we're actually commanded not to. All right. So let's crack it off, right, and give homage to, our Lord and Savior, right? It's the book of Psalms, chapter 105 and verse 1. It says, "Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people," right? So we're making his deeds known amongst the people, the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans scattered abroad, right, in the 4 corners of the earth. We want to first give thanks unto the Lord, right? That's why in the Paleo Hebrew we say call halal Yahweh by Hashem wa Malak Yahweh Shah, as giving all honor and glory to the world, who the world calls God by way of his son, who the world English calls Jesus Christ. This is the book of James, chapter 2 and verse 14. "What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him?" So simply prophesying with your lips, is this enough? Is this sufficient enough? Is it okay to say, hey, look, I believe in God and I fear God? Well, verse 17, it says, "Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead being alone. Ye a man say, thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works." So your belief, your reverence, and your love for the Most High God is proven by your works. What are the works? It's the commandments and how well you keep them. This is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 22. "But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves." That's very, very plain. And we can precept that to also Titus chapter 1 and verse 16. It says, "They profess that they know God, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate," right? So you can't just be a hearer. All right. You can't just say things with your mouth. You actually have to be a doer. You have to show forth the fruits of repentance and actually do what? Prove your love, prove your appreciation for the Most High God, right? So what is the truth? What is the deed? What is the work of the week? All right. It is faint not in well doing. All right, so this is the premise, right? Galatians chapter 6 and verse number 9. It says, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 58, Salakia, it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Right? So according to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, weariness is defined as a noun referring to a state of exhaustion or being depleted in energy, strength, or freshness, and can also describe a mental state of patience, interest, or pleasure being exhausted by something tedious or overexposure, right? So weariness, we understand that it's okay. We're in flesh, all right? We're in our fleshly bodies. So it's completely understandable to be tired, to be wearisome, right? But we can't faint not. Okay. Let me see. According to the Merriam-Webster, it says faint can describe something that is weak, indistinct, or lacking in brightness or force. The phrase faint not is an archaic way of saying do not give up or do not lose courage, right? So it's very, very plain. It's okay to be wearisome, but you cannot faint or give up. I yield that, King. You got it.
Con. This week's commandment is one that it is really meant to exhort and to encourage our people, right, to endure, because we understand that in order to get that kingdom, we have to endure until the end. The same way Yahweh Shai told us, right? Yeah, I'm gonna get it real quick. Look at Matthew chapter 24 and verse number. Well, this is drum up the spirit, right? I'm gonna start at verse 8 because it's gonna go right into what we're gonna be touching on today, right? It says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. Right? When we're in this walk, right? When we're doing the things, when we're separating ourselves from the ways of the world and walking in the light of the Most High, right? We're instantly going to become enemies of the world, right? And all the spirits that dwell therein. Right. And these spirits are on the majority of the people. Right. We understand that what 2/3 of our people got these wicked spirits on them. And all of the heathen got these wicked spirits on them. Right. So we instantly make ourselves a target. Right. When we walk in this newness of life, when we walk trying to do well in the eyes of the Most High. Right. So we always have to keep that on the back of our mind. Right. We didn't know that wasn't part of the deal. Right. Verse 10, it says, and then shall many be offended and shall betray one another and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Right? But here's the point. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Right? We have to endure in this well doing. Right? As the brother brought out, Galatians 6 and 9, we can't be weary and well doing, right? It's like this, we say it all the time, I can't, right? It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? If we sit here and we take on a 5K, right? And within the first 100 meters, we give it our all, immediately we're going to start to get tired. And we're going to start probably cramping up, might get dehydrated, we huffing and puffing, right? How can we expect to continue the rest of that 5K in that same speed? It's not going to happen, right? There's nobody that I know of that has that type of condition, right? So what do we have to do? We have to make sure we take it one step at a time, day by day, right? Ain't none of us Yahushua, right? He's the only one that did this whole thing completely without fault, blameless, right? So we have to make sure that, we understand that this is going to be some distance between us and our goal, right? So we have to mentally prepare that we're going to have to go the distance, right? Like a prize fighter who understands that he's up against an opponent that he has no chance of just knocking out. If he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to go the distance, right? And most high willing, he'll beat him on the scorecard, right? So these are things that we automatically have to have in our mind. This is not going to be an easy thing. This is never meant to be an easy thing, right? Whatever, something my dad used to always tell me, right? Whatever comes easy is not worth having. And we understand that the kingdom to come is something worth having, right? And it's not going to be easy. Real quick. I'm going to get this and I'm going to pass it, Ken. This book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 3, right? It says, "And I said, Speak on, my Lord, my God. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come into the broad?" Right? This narrow path, right? Pursuant to Matthew chapter 7 and verse 14. It's this narrow path few are going to find, right? This narrow path is turning back into the Most High God and keeping his law, statutes, and commandments and the faith in his only begotten Son, right? This is a hard walk to go through. It's a very narrow path, right? Verse 6, there is also another thing. A city is built and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand and on the left a deep water, right? What's that mean? It's really no wiggle room, right? There's little margin for error, right? It's real quick. It's real easy to get entangled into something that you have no business doing in this walk. And then that's something taking you all the way off the marker to where you're not even on a narrow path anymore, right? It happens all the time, whether people realize it or not when it's on them, right? Verse 8, it says, and one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance, right? So again, if you don't go that distance and endure all of that huffing and puffing in your 5K, all of that cramping up that you're going to have in that 5K, the dehydration that you may experience, right? If you don't endure those things, how are you going to get to that finish line of that 5K, right? In order to celebrate with everybody else that made it to the finish line. How can you expect to not fall by the wayside if you're not enduring, right? That hardship that comes in this narrow path, right? Verse 10. And I said, It is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Israel's portion. Because of their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but a few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit. Right? If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Right? So the Most High is telling you, hey, this path is going to be hard, but you have to endure it if you want to get the promises that he has for his children, right? Which is ultimately that kingdom. And we all say we want that kingdom, right? So we all have to make sure that we have the mindset, first and foremost, that we're going to have to endure a lot of hardships in order to get to that kingdom, right? And we say it in sports all the time, whether it's sports, whether it's some type of training, we say it all the time. It all starts where? In the mind, right? Once we set our mind to the fact that, hey, this road is going to be very long and very hard, right? Well, now we can start putting our body behind our mind, and we can start aligning our actions to that mind, right? And hopefully that'll help our bodies to endure. But with that, I yield.
Mighty points, King. Right. So it's important that we actually go to, the scriptures and actually look at the accounts aforetime, right? So that we can learn how to endure, how to, treat this truth like a marathon, like the brother eloquently brought out, right? It's important that we learn how to deal with afflictions that we understand is not new, right? Ecclesiastes 1:9. Whatever we're going through, our forefathers and foremothers went to it, went through the same thing, and the same thing that they went through was actually it was to the fifth power, right? Because we understand that they went through things way worse than us, right? So let's actually go to the scriptures and get accounts, right? It's the book of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So what are one of those accounts that are written aforetime? We're going to go to the account of Noah building the ark. So when you go to Genesis chapter 6 and verse 5, it says what? And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. These are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man and perfect in his generations, and Noah walked with God, right? So Noah received grace, unlike every creeping thing, every man, every woman that walked the face of the earth, because they were very, very wicked, right? And the Lord is telling Noah, hey, I'm about to destroy this place, right? In the NLT, verse 13, it says what? Go. It says, so go. So God said to Noah, I have decided to destroy all living creatures, for they have filled the earth with violence. Yes, I will wipe them out along with the earth. Build a large boat from cypress wood and waterproof it with tar inside and out. Then construct decks and stalls throughout its interior, right? So here Noah is receiving a commandment from the Most High God to what? Build an ark, so that he will actually enact this grace that he's going to show forth to Noah and his family, right? So when I destroy this place, I'm going to put you on a boat, and I need you to build that boat, right? Moving forward to verse 18, it says, but with thee will I establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy wife and thy sons' wives with thee, and of every living thing of all flesh. 2 of every sort shalt thou bring into the ark to keep them alive with thee, and they shall be male and female. Thus did Noah according to all that God commanded him. So you see how perfect Noah was and how obedient he was, right? 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 4-5, it says, for if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, right? So we see how, Noah, a preacher of righteousness, received that grace, and he was indeed a preacher of righteousness. So that's setting the stage there. That's showing you that Noah was preaching, and when he was preaching his righteousness, people continued to be wicked, right? So despite everybody around him who he was preaching, right, righteousness to, they continued to be wicked, and he was steadfast and unmovable and well doing, right? And he received grace from the Most High God. Hebrews chapter 11 and verse 7, right? It says, by faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by which he condemned the world, and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith, right? So he showed forth that faith when he was preaching that righteousness, and he received that grace from the Lord. Right? Genesis chapter 7, when we go to the next chapter, says what in verse 4? It says, for yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. So we see, right, when you do what the Most High God tells you to do, you will find grace, right, through destruction. When he gives judgment unto those who don't follow him, you will receive that grace. And also just think about the tedious times. Think about the wearisome times of preaching righteousness, and people are mocking, people are despising your order and going against it, murmuring and doing whatever they want to do and moving in unrighteousness. You have to just imagine all of the things that could be taking place, right? Look at the prophets today. The prophets today, they go out into the highways and hedges, and they got people that's shooting at them. People are calling names, right? They're receiving backlash on social media, being called Power Rangers and wearing costumes and all this and that and the third, right? You have so many different, you got so much backlash from the world, and you can only expect that what's happening to Noah. Imagine building an ark, right? Because in the earlier part of Genesis, we learned that, hey, rainfall was not existing. The Most High God actually refreshing, right, and gave water to the plants and the vegetation thereof by mist. So you're going around, you telling people it's about to be a flood. The Lord is going to destroy this place, just like we do today. There's people thinking, rain. What you talking about, some rain? But yet and still, Noah was pushing forward, pushing towards the mark, right? And building that ark and being steadfast in the faith. And we can learn from that. We have to continue to learn from that and do that today, right? So it's just one account that I wanted to grab to as an example of being unmovable in the faith and faint not in well doing, right? And pushing through those wearisome times. I yield that, King.
Shoot, a major point of what the brother was bringing out, something that we far overlooked, right? Noah was doing all of this by himself, right? Like the brother, and not by himself, by through his own power. I'm talking about by himself. He was tasked this thing dolo, right? Noah was as the brother brought out, building this ark, all while shaking the hand and preaching the word out to a rebellious world of people, right, that didn't want to hear him, right? And things like that, those different voices, all of those naysayers, all of those murmurers, right, all of those backbiters and those mockers, right? Those things, that's that fire. That's that fire that's on the right hand side, right? That's wet, ready and willing to devour you up. Those things can easily turn somebody off of the ways of righteousness, right? Evil communications corrupt good manners, right? As the scriptures say, right? Those that's a form of affliction in and of itself. That's a hurdle in and of itself, right? How many of our people they come into this truth, right? They join a camp, they out there on the highways and hedges, they shaking their hand, and all of a sudden you look up and you don't see them no more, right? Simply because they heard a scoffer say something that just kind of shook their whole faith, right? Well, Noah had to deal with things like that, right? As do we. We have to deal with things like that while we're out there on the highways and hedges, while sisters are out doing their day to day, right? And another Eve tells them something that makes them question their whole belief system, and now their faith is shaken, right? These are things that we have to deal with, right? This is, I'm gonna get it right. Let the word do the talking. This is the book of Mark, chapter 4, right? The classic, the parable of the sower, right? Verse 3. It says, "Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came and devoured it up. And some fell on stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. And when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away." Right? We don't want to be the stony ground, right? Let alone the wayside, right? We don't want to be that stony ground. When we take in these words, all of these teachings that the Most High God, through his mercy, has given us, right? We have to make sure these things become ingrained in our minds, right? Again, it all starts here. As a man thinketh of himself, so is he, right? These things start up here. So we have to let these things take root in us, right? So that they are not easily shaken by any type of wind or matter of doctrine or any type of scoffing or whatever, right? I'm gonna jump down. I'm gonna jump down to verse 14, right? The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts, right? These are, like the brother was bringing out, these are the things Noah had to deal with. He out there not only building the ark by himself, but preaching the word by himself. Hey, it's about to rain, and it's about to be a flood that's about to kill all y'all, right? There ain't never been rain before. So you can imagine how many times he had to hear people telling him that. You crazy, bro. There's no such thing as rain. What rain? What's that? Right? And you telling us it's about to be, not only is about to be something new, but it's about to be so devastating and it's about to kill everybody. You bugging, right? Noah had to deal with that, right? We have to deal with these things, right? The spirit of Satan comes at us day in and day out, whether we're on the highways or hedges or whether we're on the plantation, right? And it tries to steal that word that was ingrained in us, right? Verse 16, "And these are they likewise which are sown on stony ground, who when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness," right? And that's a lot of us, right? All of us, when we heard the word, received it with gladness, right? We had that zeal, right? That brothers every day are trying to get back to that zeal that we had when we first came into this truth, right? Verse 17, here's the point. It says, "And have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time. Afterward, when affliction or persecution arises for the word's sake, immediately they are offended," right? We have to make sure that we are not like that. We have to have this word rooted in us, right? It has to be unshakable. That's that faith that the Most High God is looking for. That's that faith that Noah showed, right? It was unmovable. The Lord told me, hey, there's about to be a new thing called rain. And it's going to be so much of it that it's going to flood the earth and kill everybody, right? How deep did that root have to be for Noah to take that and do all that he did? These are the things that we have to look at, because Satan is coming, right? The sun is going to rise and wither all those that didn't take root, right? But we have to be the opposite. We have to be sure that we endure in this narrow path, right? It's the book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, verse 17. This is what we don't want to be like. It says, these are wells without water, clouds that are carried with the tempest, to whom the mist of darkness is reserved forever. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that were clean escape from them who live in error. Right? Those are that's us if we don't have root, right? These people are gonna these wicked spirits are gonna allure us to come back into things that we defeated, right? Hey King, I see you move different, man. I see, hey, we kind of don't see you on Friday nights no more. Right? We used to go out all the time and hit on some females, get some drinks, right, and just live it up. But now you don't do that no more, man. Like what's going on? What's going on? Like you don't like women no more, right? You don't like to feel some good drink. Hey, I'll pay for it. Just come out and chill with us, King. And you go and do that, and all of a sudden it becomes a slippery slope, right? You go out and you drink and you have a little too much, right? Now you find yourself in a possibility of committing fornication with somebody, right? Or you find yourself in possibility of drinking too much in excess, right? And trying to drive like that. Now you're endangering your life and somebody else's, right? A whole myriad of situations can come simply because you allowed yourself to be allured, right? Through vanity and wantonness, right? You allowed your flesh to be spoken to. But it won't happen if you have allowed this word to take deep root in you, right? Verse 19, it says, while they promise them liberty, they themselves are the servants of corruption. For of whom a man is overcome, of the same he is brought in bondage, right? These same spirits, these same people, right, that are alluring you, right, according to your flesh, right? These are the people that literally have control over you. These are the people that have dominion over you, right? These are the people that literally you have replaced the Most High God for. And you really have to think about that thing. Again, this path is narrow, and few there be that find it. The Lord laid out a strict blueprint of how to walk down this narrow path. If you do anything else, then you're walking on another path, right? Verse 20, it says, for if after they have escaped the pollutions of the world through the knowledge of the Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, they are again entangled therein and overcome, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning, right? It's just like Yahweh Shah said, right? You can get rid of a wicked spirit, right? And that wicked spirit will go away for a time, right? But once he gets weary, he's gonna decide to come back to the house where he left. And when he comes back, he finds that house swept and garnished, right? Meaning there's no roots there. There's no word there. There's nothing there that filled that place. There's nothing there of the Most High that filled in that place, right? So what does that wicked spirit do? He brings 7 more spirits more wicked than themselves, right? And the estate of that man is worse than the first, right? Just like it's saying right here in 2 Peter, right? Verse 21, it says, for it had been better for them not to have known the way of righteousness than after they have known it to turn from the holy commandment delivered unto them, right? But it has happened unto them according to the true proverb. The dog is turned to his own vomit again, and the soul that was washed to her wallowing in the mire, right? It's a very bad thing. It's a very bad thing to know better and to decide, hey, I'm not going to do better. Think about what you're going to have to because we all got to stand before that judgment seat. Think about what you're going to say to the Most High in that day. Yeah, I knew I wasn't supposed to do this. I knew that was bad, but I did it anyway. You gonna feel stupid as soon as the words leave your mouth. You gonna feel it. But before all that, you're gonna feel everything, all the punishment that comes with that, right? You get one more, and I'm gonna pass it, King. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, and verse number 1. It says, "This is the book of the commandments of God and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die." Right? And this is plain as that, right? You leave, if you forsake the ways of the Most High God, hey, that means you're literally begging for death, right? The Lord say, all those that loathe my law in a time of liberty, right? When they had the chance to come back and repent, right? Well, they're going to have to learn it through death by pain, right? And that's literally what you're asking for when you decide to become that dog, right? That returns to his own vomit. That's nasty, right? We decide to be that cow that was just cleaned up, looking shiny, right? Ain't got no flies around him at all. Decided to go waddle in some mud right afterwards, right? You look foolish. With that, I yield.
We got to understand that giving up, right, it involves you going back to the world. And the brother is explaining to us that when you go back into the world and you give up, you'll start seeing yourself waxing worse and worse and seeing the old things that you used to do, right? And to avoid that, you have to continue to keep that charge, keep that flame alive, right? So I'm going to give you one more account, right, and we'll pretty much shut it down. You know what I'm saying? Right, so this one for the sisters, right? We got a forefather, Noah, right? So we're going to get a foremother this time. And then I'll give you two other, accounts to read on your own time. We're not going to get them for the sake of time. We'll shut it down a little early today, right? So we're familiar with all the injustice movies, right? For all of my movie lovers out there, right? I'm pretty sure that you have your favorites, your top 5 injustice movies, right? And when I say injustice movies, right, it's solely, right, a movie about an injustice and they're trying to retrieve justice, right? So mine will be probably Just Mercy, starring Michael B. Jordan, right? Another one is Jasper, Texas, right? And also, The Green Mile. Those are one of the 3 of my favorite injustice movies, right? So we actually have an account in the scriptures that's likened unto it, right? We have a foremother that was put on death row for being falsely accused. Let's get it, right? So this is the book of Susanna, history of Susanna, right? 13, and from the top, it says, "There dwelt a man in Babylon called Joachim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, a very fair woman," right? She was very beautiful, right? "And one that feared the Lord." She was a God-fearing woman as well. "Her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Joachim was a great rich man and had a fair garden, right, joining unto his house. And to him resorted the Jews, because he was more honorable than all the others." So Joachim had a garden, right? He had a nice house where Jews they came as they pleased, right? And they dwelled because he was an honorable man. And this garden, this house, it was very favorable. It was very fair. It was a beautiful place to be, right? So skipping down to verse 8, right? And we're going to kind of pick up, skip around within this chapter. So just follow me, right? It says, "And the 2 elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed toward her. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgment. So you had two elders who were sizing her up. They watched her go to and fro, and they were lusting after her, right? And it fell out. As they watched a fit time, she went in as before with two maids only, and she was desirous to wash herself in the garden, for it was hot. So Susanna was hot. She wanted to take a shower, right? And this time, right, when she went to and fro in the garden, she had two maids only. All right. And the elders were watching again, just like they were before. Right. It says, and there was nobody there save the two elders that had hid themselves and watched her. So the two maids, they've gone now, and it's just them watching her taking a shower. Then she said to her maids, right, bring me oil and washing balls and shut the garden doors that I may wash me. Right. So these two maids, they went off, right, and they went to go fetch things for her to take a shower. Right. And they did as she bade them, and shut the garden doors and went out themselves at privily doors to fetch the things that she had commanded them. But they saw not the elders, because they were hid. All right. Now, when the maids were going forth, the two elders rose up and ran unto her, saying, behold, the garden doors are shut, but no man can see us, and we are in love with thee. Therefore consent unto us and lie with us. So these two elders are seducing her. They're saying, all right, look, ain't nobody here. Have sex with us, right? Then Susanna sighed. No, Salaki, I skipped a little bit, right? It says, if thou wilt not, this is what the elder said to Susanna, if thou wilt not, we will bear witness against thee that a young man was with thee, and therefore thou didst send away thy maids from thee. All right, so if you don't have sex with us, right, we're going to say that you had a man come up in here and you had your two handmaids go and fetch you something so you can have sex with another man. We're going to bear false witness against you and accuse you of what? Adultery, if you don't have sex with us. Then Susanna sighed and said, I am straitened on every side. For basically saying I'm in between a rock and a hard place. Says, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do not, I cannot escape your hand. So if I don't do this thing, right, I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't, right? It says what? And it came to pass the next day, when the people were assembled to her husband, Joachim, the two elders came unto full of mischievous imagination against Susanna to put her to death. So, hey, it's saying that they accused her, right, of adultery. So obviously, right, she didn't lie with them, right? And it's saying, hey, they bearing false witness in the assembly. It says what? I lost my spot. God, dog. Let me see. All right, so it says the two elders came also full of mischievous imagination against Susanna to put her to death. Then the two elders stood up in the midst of the people and laid their hands upon her head, and she was weeping, looked up towards heaven, for her heart trusted in the Lord. So through this false accusation, she's looking to heaven for her Lord, and she's trusting in the Lord. We can learn from that. Through our affliction, we must trust in the Lord and look to heaven always. Just because we go through bad things and because we are going through affliction, we have to remain steadfast. We have to not question the Lord's existence and his accompany us. All right. It says, and the elder said, as we walked in the garden alone, this woman came in with two maids and shut the garden doors and sent the maids away. Then a young man who was hid came unto her and lay with her. So they're saying, hey, look, I seen this. All right. She sent her two maids away, and the young man came in and they had sex. It says, then that stood in a corner of the garden, seeing this wickedness, ran unto them. And when we saw them together, the man we could not hold, for he was stronger than we, and opened the door and leaped out. But having taken this woman, we asked the young man was. So they saying, hey, look, he got away. He was too strong to hold, right? And here we are. We got Susanna, and we trying to figure out who this young man was, because it's a problem. We was there. We was in the corner, and we seen the whole thing. It says, but having taken this woman, we asked the young man was, but she would not tell us. These things do we testify. Then the assembly believed them, as that they were in the elders and judges of the people. So they condemned her to death. So doesn't this happen, right? The so-called white man has power, they have high stature. And if they said that this happened on the elevator between you and him, they're going to believe them because they are of high stature. Well, right here it's saying these two elders were of high stature. They were judges of the people and they were elders. So this is why they believed them. So they were condemned to death, it says, right? Then Susanna cried out with a loud voice. Let's see what she does in the midst of this affliction. It says, then Susanna cried out with a loud voice and said, O everlasting God, that knowest the secrets and knowest all things before they be. Thou knowest that they have borne false witness against me, and behold, I must die. Whereas I have never did such things as these men have maliciously invented against me. And the Lord heard her voice. So I'll rest there, right, for the concept of time. But when you read forward, the Most High God rewards her faithfulness and her steadfastness, right, with Daniel. Daniel coming to her offense. All right. So what we can learn from this is that the Most High God is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him, right? Sirach chapter 19 and 19 all day long. So what we have to remember is we can't be wearisome. We can't faint not, I should say, because it's expected for us to be tired. This place is designed for us to be tried. All right. And through those trials, we're gonna get tired, but you can't faint. You can't give up. You can't go back to your old ways. You can't fall in love and be that old man, right? So what we have to do is, when learning from the history of Susanna, is when you're falsely accused, when you're ridiculed, when the world is mistreating you and treating you unfairly, it's important that you cry unto the Lord with a loud voice, that you look to him. Lord, you know everything. You are one to sit high and look low, right? And in doing so, I know that you're going to give me my reward and you're going to see this, right? I know that my labor is not in vain, right? So with that, I yield.
Con, King, for sake of time, you can get through Sirach chapter 2 real quick.
Yeah, you can tap in on that.
I'm just gonna read it, but I pray and I ask Israel that, hey, whenever you have times where you're feeling low and you're feeling weak, keep coming back to this book, right? This chapter, right? It's the book of Sirach chapter 2. It says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. Set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright, and trust in him. Ye that fear the Lord, wait for his mercy, and go not aside, lest ye fall. Ye that fear the Lord, believe him, and your reward shall not fail. Ye that fear the Lord, hope for good, and for everlasting joy and mercy. Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? Or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? The Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long-suffering and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. Woe be to fearful hearts and faint hands, and a sinner that goeth 2 ways. Woe unto him that is faint-hearted, for he believeth not. Therefore shall he not be defended. Woe unto you that have lost patience, and what will ye do when the Lord shall visit you? They that fear the Lord will not disobey his word, and they that love him will keep his ways. They that fear the Lord will seek that which is well pleasing unto him, and they that love him shall be filled with the law. They that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of the Lord and not into the hands of men. For as his majesty is, so is his mercy. And with that, I hope somebody will be edifying in the coming days, weeks, and however long this lesson is up. And I just pray, endure until the end that you may be saved. With that, shalom.
Shalom, Israel.